I'm Scott Hamilton, ROCKFILE, back with another podcast review. Going to be talking about music and video with the Winery Dogs Special Edition Dog Years 2013 to 2016. If you're not familiar with the Winery Dogs, it's a supergroup of sorts. And as a radio guy, I'm not a biggest fan of the term supergroup, but it sometimes applies. You've got Richie Kotzen, Mike Portnoy, and Billy Sheehan. And the way I understand it, this started off, Mike Portnoy and Billy Sheehan wanted to do a power trio kind of thing. And they had a project that was tentatively titled Bad Apple that just didn't work out with John Sykes. And Eddie Trunk actually suggested Richie Kotzen. If you're not familiar with him, he's had quite the solo career, but the first time I heard of him, he was the guitarist in Poison for a couple years. Then he went on to be in Mr. Big for about 3 years, and he also has this great solo career. He's got a voice that's a soulful mix of like a little bit Chris Cornell with a little bit of with his own thing. He's an amazing guitar player. I get kind of a Prince vibe out of him, and not musically, not that he sounds anything like Prince, but Prince was one of those guys that was just a songwriter and a guitar prodigy and a singer, and I don't know, there's just something about Richie Kotzen I consider one of those kind of musical geniuses. He's really, really great. Guitar, piano, keyboards, lead vocals, he can pretty much do it all. Mike Portnoy, you're very familiar with. He was a founding member of Dream Theater. He's been in Transatlantic and 1,000 other bands, it seems like. And, of course, Billy Sheehan had worked with Richie in Mr. Big. Billy Sheehan also toured with Steve Vai and David Lee Roth. And Billy Sheehan's had quite the career playing bass for many hundreds of different projects. I interviewed Billy Sheehan a few years ago. He is a super tall but super warm and friendly guy. I absolutely loved. We were given like 15-20 minutes to talk, and we wound up spending like 45 minutes. He hugged me. He took pictures with me. He recorded IDs for me. He's just one of those guys in the music industry that you just want to see again and again. I've always loved his playing. I was always blown away by Billy Sheehan, but actually meeting him and him turning out to be a wonderful human being. I follow him on Facebook. He lets you into his home, talks about the meals he's cooking and everything. He's just a really interesting, really nice, really down-to-earth guy who's getting quite up there in years and looks amazing, plays amazing, sounds amazing. He always does backing vocals in his groups and whatever. So anyway, these three guys got together in 2012, put out an album, and it was very well received at rock radio. Winery Dogs was not my favorite name, but at least it's something unique. I have a complaint that I've talked about in other podcasts where I don't think people Google their new band names enough to find out if something already has that name, title, or whatever. So anyway, I've been a Winery Dogs fan. I've seen them several times, usually in intimate venues in Fort Lauderdale, and they just rock the house. It's just, even if you don't know their songs, you can go see a Winery Dogs show. Consummate musicians performing straight up rock and roll, just, you know, it's just great music. And so they've now put out several albums, and in 2017 they were kind of moving on to other projects, so they put together this package called Dog Years. And it's got a Blu-ray of a full concert live in Santiago. It also has all 8 of their music videos, and it came with a bonus EP of cover songs. And I picked this up pretty cheap on Amazon. And I'm doing this review because I think it's starting to go out of print, or maybe already has. So if you can find a copy of it, do so, because you get, you know, it's a 4-disc set. It was really, really cheap. Or it's a 5-disc set. Yeah. Oh, wow. So I pulled out the Blu-ray the other day to watch it. I was doing some stuff around the house. I always like having music on, but we have this giant TV, so why not have the video on too? And it's a really good concert. I hadn't watched it in a couple years. I wouldn't say it's they're on 110%. I would think it's maybe about 90%, 95%. I've seen better shows from them, but it's a really great performance and really worth picking up because this is the only one available in high def that I'm aware of. They put out a DVD towards the beginning. I think it was back in 2013-14, Unleashed in Japan. I don't think that's been upgraded to Blu-ray. I would have to check. Sorry, I didn't do that before now. A lot of rock stations played their music for a while and stopped, but I'm one of those guys that if I add your music to the station, I play it for a year or two, and it's popular, why would I get rid of it just because other stations are not playing it? And these songs still fit what I'm doing on ROCKFILE Radio Fire. and the luxury of owning your own radio stations, even though they're internet radio stations, I can make that decision. I don't have a corporate VP or consultant telling me, well, those songs don't really test well anymore. I after all my years in radio, got really tired of hearing that phrase. It doesn't test well. It doesn't test well. What that means is in the radio industry, they will do auditorium testing. They will invite people to come down and listen to taped hooks from songs, and they're given a sheet to fill out with a number 2 pencil, and they have 2 criteria: like it or hate it, don't know it to tired of it. Those are the 2 ratings. You go, from hate to like or love, and from I've never heard it to I've heard it too much. But they usually get 50 or less people, sometimes maybe 100 if you're lucky, and they do 5 to 10 second clips. A lot of people can't play name that tune for this, and so that they put so much money, time, and effort into these auditorium tests. I do think they're part of a research picture. If you're researching a radio station and you don't know how certain songs play in a market, auditorium testing can be one aspect. But I have had consultants and I have had companies that have put 100% into that test. And I'm like, unless you test thousands of people and let them hear full songs, we even experimented with an on-air auditorium test. We played the hooks on air, and we put the sheet in the local newspaper and had people mail that in. And people actually did it. We didn't get thousands of responses, but we got some. And that any research helps build a story. But in the end, I was brought up with radio programmers who said, in the end, it has to fit the radio station. Your gut has to be okay with playing these songs, that kind of thing. And so going back to the Winery Dogs, that when they came out, I'm like, this is straight up exactly what my rock station plays. Straight up hard rock and roll. It's just anybody can enjoy this music. It's not technical progressive rock, although these guys are all consummate players, and watch Mike Portnoy's drumming. It is pretty technical stuff most of the time. But the songs pretty much can be enjoyed by anybody. If they come on in a bar, you're going to dance and tap your foot to them. They're just good rock songs. Each album has been good, but this set that kind of collects the other stuff, the music videos and EP of covers and this live concert, well worth picking up. This is a consummate band, and if you haven't gotten into the Winery Dogs, go on YouTube and check out some of their videos. Really talented guys. Hopefully they get back together and do some other stuff. They're on a bit of a hiatus now. They got back together in 2017 when this video came out because David Z, the bass player for Adrenaline Mob, who Portnoy plays in, died in a car crash, and so they did a tribute to him on that. And they did do a short tour back in May of 2019. But that's all we've heard from them since. I would love more stuff from the Winery Dogs. I mean, my personal taste from listening to my podcast. I like more technical progressive music, but there's room for AC/DC in my musical catalog, and there's room for the Winery Dogs. And I'm surprised this band never got bigger than it did. Songs like Time Machine, Elevate, they're just quintessential rock songs that just work. It's a very classic rock sound that the band has. They mix this Zeppelin, Cream, Hendrix kind of thing with a Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Black Crowes, Lenny Kravitz kind of thing, and you get the Winery Dogs. So, again, I pulled this out because a lot of people still don't talk about the band. They never got hugely popular. But Dog Years 2013 to 2016 is a great little package to pick up, and also check out their albums. I really think this is a band you would dig if you gave them a shot. So, talking about it, if you can pick this up, do so. Definitely check out the band. Hope we hear more from them. Portnoy's pretty busy this day. They just are about to release 2 transatlantic albums. They're quite long. There will be a tour and such like that. So, we'll see how they can work it into their schedules. And I know Kotzen is still releasing solo albums, and Sheehan always seems to be working on something. He's worked with a lot of pop, rock, progressive. He's been all over the place. If you look up Billy Sheehan and see all the things he's worked on, it's actually quite an epic resume, and I'm going to miss him one day. I mean, wow. But again, I met Richie briefly. He was at one of the shows. He was just kind of at the bar during sound check when I was getting ready for another interview, and I talked to him for a bit. Great guy. Mike Portnoy I've met several times with Dream Theater and afterwards. He's a great guy. And Billy Sheehan, just one of my favorite rock stars that I would ever love to meet up again and interview again, because go to listen. The interview is on rockfileradio.com under interviews. It really is one of my better interviews because he's one of those guys where you ask him a question and he goes off and he tells great stories, and he's just a joy to be with and a joy to listen to. So definitely check out that interview. And check out the Winery Dogs. I don't think they're done. I'm Scott Hamilton. I'm ROCKFILE. My website is therockfile.com, where you can find all the links. Share, care, love, like, whatever you can do to help support what I'm doing. I really appreciate it. And thank you for listening.